During the late afternoon of October 25, 2003, in the remote wilderness of northern San Diego County, a lost hunter set a small signal fire to alert a companion to his location so the two could reunite. As Santa Ana winds began blowing in from the desert, the fire quickly spread to adjacent dry brush. Because of the remote location and impending darkness, firefighters were unable to attack the growing fire by air or by ground. Later that evening, the wind velocity increased. The fire became a raging inferno that spread quickly in unexpected directions. Within hours, many of the county's law enforcement, fire, utility, and volunteer resources were mobilized. They began to evacuate citizens from threatened areas, fight the fire, and save homes.
Leave your residences at this time. There's no longer any more time to grab any positions. Get in your vehicles and leave the area.
This force included more than 600 San Diego County Sheriff's deputies who began performing emergency evacuations in both rural and suburban areas. Many deputies suddenly found themselves facing the worst possible evacuation situation. Fierce winds blew the fire in constantly changing directions. Intense flames generated unbearable heat, and blowing smoke and embers often created zero visibility. A wildfire of this magnitude had never been encountered by San Diego law enforcement personnel. They faced many unexpected challenges, requiring spur-of-the-moment decisions to survive, decisions they had to make with only limited prior training and orientation. Two deputies, Mark Johnston and Mariano Tano, were assigned to conduct evacuations near the Barona Indian Reservation. It was in the immediate path of the fire. While engaged in this mission, these deputies found themselves surrounded by flames with no way out. Here is their harrowing story in their own words.
This is Featherstone Canyon. This is the area where Mark and I were dispatched from Encinitas Patrol Station to assist the deputies with the Cedar Fire evacuations.
This canyon is located in the Wildcat Canyon area. It's bordered on three sides by ridge lines and has one access road in or out, which is dirt and about 3 miles long.
When Mark and I approached the canyon, we could see that the smoke was starting to become thick, and you could see some of the flame fronts coming up, and we didn't know that this is a one-way in, one-way out canyon.
As we were conducting our evacuations of the canyon, we were later contacted by a subject who said that the fire had encircled around to the south of us, preventing our egress out of the canyon.
As Mark said, as we were further out of the canyon, we got turned around by a wall of flames and smoke.
As we were fleeing the fire from the south that was blocking our route out of the canyon, we both knew we were driving back into the advancing fire coming from the north. When we got into this area right here where we're standing right now, the fire was about half a mile north of us, and it was creeping down the ridge line here to the west, and then the ridge line back over here to the east.
Not knowing fire science or being familiar with fire science or fire behavior, my instinct was to get back to this clearing where I knew that, or I felt like if when the flames come through here, it'll come through pretty quickly because, again, of the fire-generated winds in here, that it was pretty intense, and I felt, based on what I knew or based on what I was feeling, that this is the best place for me. Mark got information or got instructions from the dispatchers from the fire department, instructed us to go into the structure, into a house that's on this property. But at that point, again, not knowing fire behavior and fire science, I felt more comfortable waiting out the flames and the smoke and the embers inside my car in this clearing, where I thought if I had to move, at least I could move somewhere instead of being ensconced in a structure.
As we set out here waiting for the fire to burn around us, the smoke intensified, the visibility reduced to approximately 5 to 10 feet. The heat intensified. You could actually feel the heat of the fire radiating through the windshields and windows on the vehicle. And the wind picked up, the fire seemed to generate its own wind, and it literally sounded like a freight train moving through here as the fire came through. And the most intense moment of the fire probably lasted maybe roughly 30 minutes, 45 minutes. And then it burned through, the smoke kind of lingered around for a while. And then it slowly started to dissipate, and eventually we were able to look up into the night sky and see some of the stars again, which was quite a relief. We ended up going out to 2 separate scenes where a total of 3 individuals did not make it out of the fire and ended up getting burned by the fire. And, you know, to be quite honest, that's when it really hit home with me exactly how lucky the 2 of us were to have survived the night in this canyon while that fire burned around us.
5 days after it began as a small signal fire, the Cedar Fire, as it was named, left a swath of destruction and loss. It claimed 15 lives, destroyed more than 2,600 homes, burned more than 273,000 acres. Although there were many close calls, fortunately no law enforcement personnel were killed nor injured. And a lot was learned to ensure the increased safety and protection of personnel facing future wildfire disasters. Hello, I'm Marty Levine. For the past 18 years, I've served as the anchor for NBC News in San Diego. During that time, I've covered a wide variety of natural disasters, but nothing that compares with the size and the force of the October 2003 firestorm. That's why we've created this Firestorm survival training video, to provide law enforcement personnel with a basic understanding of wildfire behavior and the knowledge you need to perform your duties effectively and safely in future wildfire situations. Thanks to the input, the direction, and the guidance of the professional firefighters at the California Department of Forestry and Fire Protection, this training video provides the practical knowledge and understanding you need to recognize a threatening situation, to escape, or survive it. It also provides critical information regarding command structure, communications protocols, and procedures that will make evacuations safer, faster, and more successful. This training video is organized into 8 easy-to-view chapters. Each is just 5 to 10 minutes long, enabling you to view it according to your own time schedule and your own learning pace. You can also easily review any chapter at any time. The 8 chapters presented in this video are Chapter 1, the introduction. This is the chapter that you're currently watching. Chapter 2, evacuation planning and emergency traffic-only radio protocol. This covers first-at-scene responsibilities, command and control structure, and the ET-only radio protocol to ensure effective communication. Chapter 3, evacuation procedures. This covers road closures, route control, residential evacuation tips, and overall coordination. Chapter 4, how to establish a system of lookouts, communications, escape routes, and safety zones, commonly called LCES. This system provides a safer environment for evacuation. Chapter 5, how to maintain situational awareness by understanding the basics of fire behavior. Chapter 6, how to avoid becoming trapped by the fire. Chapter 7, what to do to survive if you are trapped. And finally, Chapter 8 presents the top 10 tips for firestorm survival, a recap of the most important points presented in this training video. These are the key tips to remember in order to perform your duties more effectively and stay safe in a future wildfire disaster. We encourage you to view all the chapters of this training video and discuss the practical applications of this information with fellow deputies. Jot down any questions you may have as you're watching each chapter and then ask your supervisor to address them. It is important you understand what's presented in this video in terms of applying it to evacuation duties in the field, because what you learn here could very well save your life out there. This concludes Chapter 1. Please proceed to Chapter 2, which covers procedures for evacuation planning and emergency traffic-only radio protocol.